I want to share with you the 3 ways that steel is disrupting our market. Number 1, time is everything in construction. Labor costs are where projects basically live or die. Let's take a basic example. Let's say that you're paying a framer $15 an hour and it takes him a week, 40 hours to frame a tiny house. That's $600 in labor. Now imagine delays or inefficiencies that stretch that same job into 2 weeks, and suddenly you're at $1,200 for the exact same outcome. Now multiply that by 5 or 6 framers on a crew, and basically your bill just jumped from $3,000 to $6,000 without adding any real value to the project. I know this one from personal experience because I've been in real estate such a long time, and I can tell you that they're basically going to get paid whether the project happens in 1 week or it gets done in 8 weeks. This is the reality that most builders are facing right now. The US is short by more than 4.5 million homes, but at the same time, skilled labor is aging out of the industry. We got like 30% of the industry that is retiring in the next 6 years. And I got news for you. No one wants to replace their jobs because we're still already missing 245,000 construction jobs in this country right now as we speak, as I'm making this video. Bottom line, fewer framers are available. And the ones who remain, they're charging more for the same amount of time. Now, as we talk about this shift to steel, steel framing is going to basically flip this equation and invert it, because steel studs are precision cut by roll forming machines. They're already assembled. There's no measuring, there's no cutting, there's no wasting, there's no fixing crooked lumber or crooked walls. Those things can take days or weeks. What used to take weeks with wood can often be done in days with steel. What it's doing is it's slashing labor costs dramatically, and it's actually helping builders hit their deadlines. Scottsdale invented these 3D steel printing machines, and they can essentially take a 2,500 square foot home, an average American home size, and they can print it in a day. They can assemble it and then literally ship it to location where it gets erected in a couple of days. All of that changes when you're operating in steel from when we were playing the game in wood. Number 2, there's a huge insurance advantage when you make the switch over to steel instead of wood. You know how many people are complaining at the increased cost of insurance? Like it happened during the pandemic, where all of a sudden it was like insurance was going up 20, 30, 40, 50%, and everyone was freaking out. Check this one out. Insurance rates have been climbing really fast in states like California, Florida, Texas, basically places where they get devastated by fires or they've got other hurricanes or other problems with floods. When you shift to steel, what this does is there's a major advantage because it doesn't burn, it doesn't rot, it doesn't attract termites. And this means that there are fewer claims and there's less risk to the insurers, which can then translate into lower premiums for steel framed homes. Take Marsh McLennan. Nationwide in America, Marsh McLennan says if you have a home that is steel framed, we'll insure it for 20, 30, or 40% less. Those savings to the average American, that's massive. The third reason why I predict the entire housing market is going to switch over to steel over the next 3 decades is because government is leading the charge in cities and states that are desperate to solve housing crises. Government literally is looking for faster and more efficient ways to get homes built. And steel, it checks the boxes. Some municipalities are already fast-tracking permits for non-combustible construction, and the sustainability mandates that are growing. Steel's recyclability, it reduces waste, and the government is changing policy where they want their own government buildings over the next 2 years, basically built in steel and never wood again. Even over the next 2 years, government is looking at having their sub-Senate committees change policy that any government buildings be built in steel as opposed to wood, including subsidized housing. They want all of it changed over the next 2 years to being built in steel. My business partner, Chad Brown, who's a leader in the steel community, has been asked to speak in front of the Senate subcommittee on this exact matter. That's how serious the government is enforcing internally this change from wood to steel. I've grown up around the lumber industry my entire life. Literally, I watched my dad build homes. I would do that with him during the summers before I eventually went off to college. And it was literally always there by the saw, cutting wood to length, erecting these walls, building and putting houses together. And to see that massive changeover, it's big. Take a look at the fires last year in the Palisades that destroyed over 6,000 homes. Because they lost their home by fire, they're now being re-erected in steel. And here's the crazy part. You'd think that steel is more expensive than wood, but across the board, you can build a house out of steel in its framing for up to 30% less than wood. And so in these areas where we've experienced extreme climate or flooding, That's where people have this awareness and they say, I want my house actually built out of steel, but why not all houses if it is cheaper, if it is faster, and if it is better? So here's my prediction. By the year 2050, I believe that more than half of all of our new construction residentially will now happen in steel instead of wood. For too long, we've relied on wood. Even though it's slower, weaker, it's more expensive in the long run, but there's pressure in building basically the way we've always done it. And there's a lot of lobbyists on the Hill for all of the lumber in this country. But still, at the end of the day, it's more sustainable housing. And anytime there's a major turnover, a changing of the guards, shifting an industry from something like wood to steel, you're always going to see a massive opportunity. It's one that I'm directly involved with because over the next 5 years, I have a personal goal of saving 1 million mature trees that otherwise would be cut down and put into homes. It's just not sustainable. It's not the way we take care of our earth. Using recycled steel, that's smart. That's responsible. That's ethical. And there's an opportunity behind it. Whether you're a builder, whether you've got a new home on the horizon, or whether you want to become a part of the revolution of the changeover of moving from wood to steel, click the link below. I've left